Hello, good evening and welcome to JoyNews Prime. We are coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. I'm Carlos Kaloni.
And I'm Noella Karen Iyali. Tonight, governing NDC's Deputy General Secretary reveals knowledge of perpetrators in Ablekuma North election violence and pledges support to police to track down thugs.
Now, plus Interior Minister announces plans to establish an independent police complaint commission in a desperate move to restore confidence in the Ghana Police Service.
Also, Bank of Ghana governor dismisses doubt about the city's resilience, criticizing the reliance on public speculation rather than data-driven analysis as he signals to the IMF the country has enough forex to sustain exchange rate stability.
Also in the bulletin, we'll tell you the story of Alison Asantewa, a bright student who defies the odds despite her physical disability.
We're home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. We're back in a bit.
Well, Deputy General Secretary for the National Democratic Congress, Mustapha Gbande, has come forward offering his assistance to the Ghana Police Service in apprehending the individuals responsible for the recent assault on journalist and former Minister for Fisheries, Mavis Hawakumsen, in Ablekuma North. Now, speaking on PM Express, Mustapha Gbande revealed that he has a knowledge of the attackers' identities and expressed his willingness to cooperate fully with the police to ensure the perpetrators are brought to justice. The Ghana Police Service has since issued a statement calling on the public to volunteer information which could lead to an arrest and prosecution of the perpetrators. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Gbande, admitted that he knows the perpetrators and that is willing to assist the police in the investigation.
Be it as it may, and because I was there, these individuals, the colleague brothers that you saw there, I can identify some of them who are MPP, some of them who are NDC. But you see, we are all the same brothers. Just as Mohammed sitting here, we come from the same village. We are actually brothers. Same way these individuals are also brothers. We know their faces. We know them. They know themselves. They know who is MPP and they know who is NDC. When we won election, most of the boys you see around actually came from the MPP. They are not traditional NDC boys. Most of them are MPP guys who are disappointed. They've been used and dumped. There was no closure with these boys. So they have come to join us, and some of them still harbor the frustration, the sacrifices they've made for their own party, having been disbanded and having been... Even of course, if they bring the videos, I can show you MPP people there, I can show you NDC people there. If at any point in time, the police feel that because some of us were there, party leaders were there, so we need to answer some questions.
On the back of your admission, I know some of them. Would you cooperate with the police and identify some of them if they invite you?
Of course.
Well, the Deputy General Secretary for the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, has responded to this, and according to him, the police must immediately invite Mustapha Gbande to provide evidence.
I am happy that he has made clear admissions that they are using, or they used boys they believe to be dissatisfied with us to go to Ablekuma North and cause mayhem. That these are persons that are dissatisfied with MPP and they went in there. And I sent you a video. He made it, yes.
He says they will take personal responsibility and do something.
For the violence, we did not perpetrate violence there.
Okay.
You didn't see Brian Champong going there slapping people or whipping people or clearing them on the ground. You didn't see Miracle went there slapping people. You did not see Hawakumsen went there beating up people. You did not see. It was rather the NDC that was beating them. Did you hear that one NDC person has been hospitalized?
Well, former secretary to the Emil Short Commission, which investigated the 2019 Ayawaso Wagon by-election violence, Professor Kofi Abochi says an independent body must investigate the matter, as he expressed frustration over the government's inability to fully implement the commission's report.
And so the recommendation to have the police to have an independent commission is for that commission to, as it were, oversee matters affecting the police. So, for instance, if you have complaints about police brutality, police excesses, police misconduct, professional misbehavior, all these complaints that affect the police, the expectation is that you have an independent commission. And that commission will receive reports, will undertake investigations, will conduct hearings, and will ensure that appropriate remedies are put in place moving forward. I think the recommendations are still very much relevant today. And subject to some, some changes if the government so desires, subject to some revisions, these recommendations can still be implemented. I think it will be a tribute to his government's activism in this respect, given that the government is only 6 months old. It will be a tribute to his activism if he implements the recommendations, given that the recommendations are already how many years, 5 years or so, lying on the books and gathering dust. If he's able to implement them, I think it will be a massive tribute to his activism.
Meanwhile, Interior Minister says government is ready to implement its campaign promise of establishing an independent police complaint commission to restore public confidence in the police. He spoke at the Government Accountability Press Conference.
In the next 6 months, we will start work on independent police complaint commission, which will be responsible for promoting confidence in the general public, investigate serious incidents, setting standard, operate independent of the police administration, among others, just to give our citizens the hope and belief that if a police officer misbehaves,
well, Deputy Ranking Member for the Defense and Interior Committee and former Deputy or Defense Minister Amankwa Menu joins us live on Zoom now. Grateful for your time. It's 4 days now since all the violence in Ablekuma North. Are you going to trigger any processes in Parliament to actually get some of these suspects arrested?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. Obviously, I mean, the minority in Parliament has spoken about, the happenings in Ablekuma North. And we will explore all avenues to make sure that those who committed the crime are brought to book. Well, we've been assured that there is going to be an investigation. How the investigation is going to be done, I don't know, because, I mean, those who committed the crime, really, they don't need any serious, investigation is an investigation, but these are people who committed a crime in broad daylight. This was not done in the dark. We saw them, we have pictures and all that. So we wait to see how it goes. But obviously the minority in Parliament will explore every avenue possible to make sure that we bring these people to book.
What are some of the things you're going to be looking at to ensure that these people are brought to book as a committee?
We'll use all that we have, in terms of parliamentary rules or whatever there is that we can do in Parliament to make sure that we put our case across to the Ghanaian public and to the world for people to know what is actually happening, and then, so that those who have the authority and the power to look into this thing, to make sure we don't suffer these brutalities again, will actually sit up and do what is expected of them.
And also, what is your concern about the Interior Minister's revelation about relieving some officers of duty due to challenges with their recruitment?
Well, I have not been. I don't really know the details of it. I am yet to get the details of it, go into it, and then ask all the questions that I possibly can ask. He may have reasons why they are doing what they are doing. And for me, once the reasons are genuine, so be it. But if the reasons are not genuine, we will ask the questions.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, Akwatia by-election is just around the corner. What are your expectations, especially from the security front ahead of that crucial election?
Well, you see, I am not the type who want to do politics with security because it is always dangerous to do that. This country passed a vigilante act. For me, as I said yesterday, this was to move this country away from the old ways of doing things. The happenings in Ablekuma North during the rerun of the 19 police station was something really, if you ask my opinion, it is something it never came to me as a surprise. Because you need to ask yourself, how did we get here? EC came to Parliament, told Parliament that they were not going to have a rerun. Eventually, we had to do the rerun. And before that, all that EC was asking for was protection from the police so they could collate the results of 3 polling stations and then declare the winner. Police could not give them protection. We eventually had to go and do a rerun in 19 police stations. Again, the police could not give the protection that we so needed. Even in the main election of December 2024, we saw what happened. We saw what happened in Patrick Boamer's constituency. We saw what happened in Suhum, what happened at Adwejri, and other places. So for me, the happenings in Ablekuma North did not come as a surprise to me. It is obvious. It is very obvious that the police is not up to the task. They are not up to the task when it comes to protection. So I don't know what and how Akwetia will look like. I don't know. I don't. Because I always say that if the police, who is close to the authority to provide protection for the Ghanaian people, is unable to do that, the Ghanaian people themselves will protect themselves. It's as simple as ABC.
All right.
It's simple.
We thank you so much for speaking to us.
Moving on, Majority Leader Mahama Yariga is making a passionate appeal to the Asantehene Osunfo Osei Tutu II to fast-track efforts aimed at restoring peace in Bawku. Now, his plea comes as tensions in the conflict-hit area continue to spiral, with at least 6 people reportedly killed during a military operation. Now, speaking at a news conference in Parliament, Mahama Yariga urged the Asantehene to intervene urgently to stop the bloodshed.
For where he has reached, what he has done, he's the only person who can tell publicly what he has done, where he has reached, and you can assess the performance at that level. Ours is, we are appealing to him, to expedite action, and we know it's a complicated matter, but we all have confidence in him and his ability to bring an end to the situation. And the earlier, the better for all of us. And that is why the MPs are appealing to him to expedite action.
Meanwhile, the majority in Parliament has confirmed the death, adding that over 20 others were injured in the same operation. Company MP Lydia Akariba says the situation is deeply worrying.
The afternoon of Sunday, 13 July 2025, ostensibly in response to an attack by unknown gunmen on a vehicle under military escort, the military personnel in Bawku went on rampage and murdered 6 people, maimed more than 20 others, and caused huge destruction to the property of citizens in Bawku. Some of them looted the shops of the people and made away with huge sums of money. What was the point in the destruction of the statue of our overlord? What security threat did the statue pose, and what threat does the destruction solve? Or it takes an act as such to insult to the Kusal people and to reject same.
Away from the governor of the Bank of Ghana is pushing back against IMF concerns over Ghana's ability to maintain exchange rate stability. Dr. Johnson Esiama says policy measures over the past 5 months have delivered strong results. A current account surplus of $2 billion in the first quarter, and international reserves now exceeding $11 billion, enough to cover 4.8 months of import. He added that while the IMF program required Ghana to build $400 million in reserves by June, the country had increased or instead mobilized $1.6 billion, a sign of growing external strength.
Somebody asked me, do you think you can sustain the stability of the exchange rate? And I said, have you read the background data? These things should be informed by the evidence. Everything is out there in our statements. If you go to after MPC, we'll put out lots of data. But it appears in Ghana the way we form our expectations when it comes to the exchange rate is to listen to the Zamana man, is to listen to the Alaji in the corner. And I think that's where the problem is. If you have a country whose trade surplus has doubled compared to last year, if you have a country whose current account has increased from a mere $66 million last year to over $2 billion in the first quarter of this year, why are you surprised when the exchange rate is showing stability? And so my point is, please look at the data. The media, focus on the data. When you are forming your projections about the exchange rate or whatever variable, look at the data. It's all there. But you notice that in Ghana, we say the exchange rate is going down, and so it keeps going, it keeps going. You notice that trend? And I kept saying that no, allow the exchange rate to move. Today it may rise, tomorrow it may come down. Because it's an endogenous variable. When it moves, it's actually protecting the country.
Well, Professor Patrick Esumin is an economist, and he joins me on Zoom for some perspectives. Prof, how significant are Ghana's current account surplus and reserve levels in ensuring long-term exchange rate stability, especially in the context of the IMF benchmarks?
Good evening, and good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me. The current account position is absolutely important for determining the stability of the currency. If you think about it in basic terms, the movement of the currency, the exchange rate, depends on mainly how much dollars flow into the economy versus how much dollars we need to import and to pay our foreign obligations and so on and so forth. So when you build a very strong trade balance or current account, as we currently have, then it gives you a lot of reserves to be able to support the currency when it is under pressure. So the reserve position is a very important parameter in determining our ability to keep the currency stable.
Right. So can policy decisions taken over just 5 months actually yield sustainable macroeconomic stability as we are seeing, or are these figures potentially short-term gains?
So I think what has happened in the last 5 months has been a configuration of factors that has helped the currency, but also put the Bank of Ghana in a position to strongly support the cedi. So starting with the gold purchase program, we'll be able to accumulate a lot of gold. And then the gold prices has been record high for a while now. So that means that our gold, when we convert that, when we sell them off, we get a lot of dollars. But it's not just the gold. We've seen that overall, almost across board, our export earnings, perhaps with the exception of oil, has performed extremely strongly. Much of that is because the prices of our export items have been strong. Now, obviously, the Bank of Ghana has decided to use part of those reserves to support the cedi. Not just support the cedi, but what we saw in in March, April, May, is that a strong intervention to kind of push the exchange rate in a direction that it appears that the government sees that should be its true equilibrium. Now, the more we push those, the less likely it was to be able to sustain it. At the moment, even after all those interventions, the reserve position is extremely strong. But we have to understand that there are pressures that are likely to build come on the city going forward. Because government has already indicated that it started servicing some of its obligations. There's a lot of the debt, especially the accumulation that took place in the last half of last year, that are yet to be serviced because the government says it's doing an audit. When it starts making all those payments, some pressure will come on the city. So when that period comes, it depends is how much reserve we built over time. That will determine the ability of the governor to keep the city stable. At the moment, our reserve position is very, very strong. But if we keep losing reserves because we are trying to support the city, the rate that we've done this year, then I'm afraid that over the longer term, it will affect our ability to keep the city stable. The other thing is that most of what we have done is on the monetary and the financial side. We need to strengthen the real sector of the economy to be able to be in a better position to keep expanding our export earnings, so that even in periods where price of our international price of our exports are not doing so well, we'll be able to support it with the volumes and the diversity of our export base.
Right. Finally, before I let you go, the IMF has been expressing some skepticism about the stability of the city. Would you say those concerns are warranted?
I think based on our history, you have to say those concerns are warranted. I think the fund is concerned that our economy is still extremely vulnerable to external shocks. And that you can't argue with. And when you have that extent of vulnerability, you have to build reserves perhaps over and above where we are now. Even though our reserve position has strengthened significantly, the fund's concern is that rather than dissipating part of the reserves, or rather than stopping or slowing down the accumulation to support the city now, perhaps it's better to keep accumulating the reserves so that when bad times come, we'll be in a better position. So I think that it's a balance of objectives. It appears that at the present, the bank and the finance ministry want to keep the city where it is so that it makes it easy for the government to service its debt obligations, especially those that are denominated in dollars. But once you do that, you keep losing reserves, then it appears that your position or your ability going forward weakens. So I think the concern of the fund is justified, but at the same time, the government has its own objectives, fiscal as well as monetary objectives. And I think that's where there appears to be some conflict.
All right, Prof, thank you so much for your time here on JoyNews Prime.
Now, for many middle-class families, building a home is the only way out of the never-ending cycle of rent. But too often, that dream stalls, trapped between rising construction cost and runaway rent. In today's episode of our Habitat series, Carlos Kaloni visits Tema Community 25, where unfinished homes tell the story of dreams put on hold.
A 2023 household survey by the Ghana Statistical Service revealed that Ghanaians spend nearly 28% of their monthly income on rent. For many in the middle class, the solution seems clear: build a home and break free. But that dream often becomes a trap. They start big to escape rent, but rising costs of building materials, poor planning, and unstable finances force many to abandon their projects halfway, littering Ghana's skyline with unfinished concrete structures as a monument to frozen dreams. Meet Desire Badasu, a young father who tried to break free from the rent maze.
It's a 5-bedroom house actually, with a hall and an extended attachment of an extra space for a hall.
Desire began his dream home hoping to finish in 18 months, but unexpected spikes in building material costs have delayed the project for years.
The project was actually estimated to take barely 1.5 years maximum. Ideally, 1 year would have been better, but when we started, along the way, realized prices of things escalated. There was very little room to make adjustment in terms of finances. So I could say roughly an extra 1 year to finish up everything.
Desire Badasu is one of the lucky few. He's at least managed to move his family into the ground floor as he battles rising costs to complete his dream home. Others aren't as fortunate. Across the country, skeletal structures of stalled dreams dot the landscape, silent reminders of hopes deferred. Construction consultant Abraham Lincoln Kokobor says the way out is simple. Dream within your means, set clear goals, and build with discipline from day one.
You need to identify the purpose for which you want to put up the building. Now, don't let that key purpose affect the start of your project. Now, if you have, let's say, a 40 by 80, which is like a half plot, or 40 by 70 or 50 by 50, square area of plot that you want to start your project, you need to seek an expert advice where that property land can be demarcated such that you get something that you go in there.
With the Ghana Statistical Service projecting a housing deficit of 4.2 million units by 2030, prospective homeowners believe stable currency, lower inflation, and higher incomes are key to closing the gap. For Joy News, Carlos Keloni, Tema Community 25.
Moving on, she's carried to class every day because the school building has no ramps and elevator. Yet 15-year-old Alison Asantewaa-Kranting, a student with a mobility challenge, continues to excel. Her academic brilliance is redefining what is possible. And in our Disabled series, Irene Dubia Aining brings you the story of a girl rising above a system that is failing to accommodate her needs.
A 2023 household survey by the Ghana Statistical Service revealed
on a day set aside to celebrate academic excellence, a young girl in a wheelchair draws the loudest applause. Her name, Alison Asantewaa-Kranting, and today she's been honored as the best student in Year 9. Each day, Alison's journey to the classroom starts with a climb, carried in the arms of her teacher, supported by her friends and assistant. Her classroom is upstairs and there's no lift to get there.
My assistant helps me up the stairs with a teacher. When I come from home, my mom drops me off and then my assistant takes me to the stairs. Then there's a teacher who carries me upstairs while my assistant carries the wheelchair upstairs.
Alison takes her academics very seriously. For as long as I've known her, she always comes top. She's always the best. She's the first to submit her assignments. So I'm not surprised of the grades she always come up with because she really puts in the work.
In a world that sometimes stares at differences, Alison has found comfort in the eyes of her classmates, especially her best friend, Princess.
Me being friends to Alison is really good. She has been such an amazing part of my life to me. Every single day we have been talking and calling and just talking about things in general.
The school knows it still has work to do in making the environment fully disability friendly. There are wheelchair ramps to improve access. But without a lift, classrooms upstairs remain a challenge. Still, what the school is building is just as important. Awareness, empathy, and inclusion.
Alison is a brilliant student. We have not finished with the building yet, so we can't have lifts. But once that is done, we would have lifts that will complete our inclusivity and or diversity, so to say.
As for Alison, she's very smart, intelligent, even when she was small. She like writing, reading books, and learning.
Alison may not walk on her feet, but she rises on her will, her work, and the people who surround her with love. Alison Asantewa's story is not about what she cannot do, but everything she already is.
Let's take a break now. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on JoyNews Prime. Now to some other story, President John Mahama has ordered the immediate arrest and prosecution of individuals posing as members of an anti-Galamsey task force who are reportedly extorting money from legitimate small-scale mining companies. Speaking during his thank you tour of the Western North region, President Mahama described illegal mining as a national emergency, warning that criminal elements hiding behind state operations will not be tolerated.
But we are alarmed by the environmental destruction that is reported across Awaso, Dadieso, and Sefia and Rianso, mainly due to illegal mining. I must be honest, this is a national emergency. The National Task Force will continue its efforts to halt illegal mining in our forest reserves and on our water bodies. I've also noted the activities of illegal anti-Galamsey task forces that go around extorting money from legitimate small-scale mining companies. I've requested that the authorities arrest and prosecute any individuals involved in this illegal anti-Galamsey activity. In addition, we are establishing a forward operating base of the Ghana Armed Forces in Ponikrum, as requested by Nananum, to respond swiftly to security threats and border-related crimes. Peace is a precondition for development.
Well, the president also reiterated his government's commitment to ensure that cocoa farmers receive at least 70% of the world market price, stressing the need to reward farmers fairly for their hard work and contribution to the economy.
And so let me be clear today. We will ensure our commitment to pay our farmers 70% of the world market price of cocoa. The sweat of our cocoa farmers deserves dignity and a fair reward. We've also restructured the cocoa rehabilitation program, especially in Bia and Dwabosu areas, where swollen shoots and old trees have drastically reduced cocoa yields. And under the new leadership of the Ghana Cocoa Board, they will prioritize the distribution of improved seeds, regular extension support, and proper compensation for rehabilitated cocoa farms.
Now, the New Patriotic Party has suspended its 2024 parliamentary candidate for Aguna West, Christopher Arthur, for what it calls a clear violation of the party's directive banning internal campaign activities for party positions. Now, the decision contained in a letter jointly signed by the constituency chairman Haji Jibrin Tanko and Secretary Anthony Kwame Kum cite Arthur's decision to hold a meeting with electoral area coordinators in Aguna West on Sunday, July 6, despite a party-wide directive against such gatherings. According to the party, the move undermines ongoing efforts to maintain unity and order ahead of the NPP's internal restructuring and delegate conference. So what led to this suspension? Well, that's on your screens. It says, I write to formally communicate your suspension as a member of the New Patriotic Party in Aguna West with immediate effect. This decision is based on your clear violation of the directive issued by the General Secretary of the party, Mr. Justin Kodia Frimpong, dated May 14, 2025, with reference number NPP 2025-1405 PRGS, which prohibits premature political engagement ahead of official nominations. Well, All right, so we have on the phone lines Mr. Christopher Arthur to respond to his party suspending him officially. Thank you, sir, for your company. Are you guilty as charged? The charges being leveled against you, how would you react to them?
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me on your show. Ordinarily, I wouldn't have commented on such internal matters and letters that some people, two persons, sit in their room and write a letter and issue it, spread it on social media. The letters and then the content are unreasonable, unquestionable, untruth, and it doesn't follow any due process. I have not heard or held any coordinators meeting in Agona West. The Agona West constituency is made up of about 32 coordinators. I've never invited anybody for any campaign for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It is not true that I have violated any rule. At least, I am a lawyer. What I know by due process, assuming without admitting that I have violated any rules or any directive given by the General Secretary of the party, the natural justice, the rules of natural justice dictate that you write to me or you invite me per a petition signed by someone or a party member. Then based on the petition, you invite me and you listen to my side before you issue such suspension or any directive. Without recourse to all these procedures laid down by the constitution of the party, you never called for executive committee meeting to discuss anything. So, the two of you, these two, the constituency chairman, who have been working for Senator Morrison for years against the party, campaigned against me and Dr. Bawumia over years, the constituency secretary, whom the national and the regional campaign team suspended him from doing anything with the campaign because of his dealings and working against the party. So when you wake up from your slumber as a constituency secretary, all that you can do is to pick the letterhead of the party, write something on it and spread it on social media. And then you begin to speak on it. And because of my mileage and the media presence, it is everywhere. Everybody is calling, causing division, tension, unnecessary tension, as you using your precious time discussing this unnecessary things on social media.
All right, Mr. Arthur, thank you so much for speaking with us. Now, moving on, a school with no general science course has defied the odds to make history. Across Senior High Technical School, after 3 failed attempts, has finally qualified for both the Eastern Regional and National Championships of the 2025 National Science and Maths Quiz, a first in the school's history, and Adobe Asare reports.
9 meters per second. No.
Day 2 of the 2025 National Science and Maths Quiz Eastern Regional Qualifiers saw 20 schools fiercely contesting for a place in the next stage, but only 7 could make it. Across Senior High Technical School, a school that does not even read general science made history today by winning their contest and qualifying for the next stage.
We did not expect this at all. In fact, I'm so surprised. I'm short of words.
A purely technical school, we don't even offer science officially as a program. We don't. It's just the headmaster who came in and told us that we need to participate in the maths and science quiz. So how do we start? We don't have science students in the first place. So in our first content, in our first participation in the regionals, we have to use 1 tech and 1 home economics student. You see that? So subsequent to that, we decided that when the Form 1s come, we'll go to the classrooms, ask the Form 1s who will be interested in maths and science quiz. So we get those students, put them in their grade class, and then we start training them in the science electives.
Earlier in the day, Oforipenyi and Yilo Krobo gave fans a tight contest. Opas, represented by a set of twins, led in the first round, only to be overtaken by Yilo Krobo in subsequent rounds, who emerged winners with 47 points.
Oforepeni has, however, qualified with 41 points. Gotia Presby also qualified after defeating St. Rose's and have a message for their opponents.
My boys here are overexcited. I'm also overexcited. Yes. Be expecting more from us. Be expecting more from us.
In contest 3, only one school made it through, and that's Kwewutafo SHS. They dominated in all 4 rounds and emerged winner, qualifying to the regional and national championship. The final contest of the day ended with Okwapeman Senior High securing the highest score of the day, 56 points, after leading in all rounds. Their closest contender, Abomuso Senior High School, also qualified with 45 points. For the 7 schools that made it through, the journey to the national stage has only begun. And for those who are unable to make it, there's always another shot. The competition is tough, but the passion is even tougher. For Joy News, my name is Adobe Asari.
You're still watching JoyNews Prime. We're taking a break. We're back with more.